Here we go.
Alright, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at all of the game packages that you can buy under $100 and do a tier list on all the different ones with regards to Pyro coming out in, well, a week or 2 weeks or whenever it will be, and in regards to where the game is going and what you need out of the starter ship. So if you like that kind of content, be sure to leave me a like, comment, subscribe, all that fun jazz, and we'll just jump right into this. So the first one we're going to talk about will be the Aurora MR. So it does have storage for 3 SCU of cargo, but the cargo grid on this ship is currently pretty janky to where you have trouble unloading it after you get it attached. So I'm not really counting this for or against it. It is there, and you can make it work for you sometimes without any problems. So it's there, so keep it in mind. But yeah, so it has 2 size 1 guns on it and 2 size 1 missiles on it. So not the greatest firepower. It does have a walkable interior, which is definitely in its favor. Has a bed for you to bed log. So on top of that, you can do box delivery missions in this, sure. That is definitely an option with this ship. So that's in its favor. The problem with it, though, is there is no storage lockers, no gun racks, no suit lockers on the inside of this ship. So that counts against it pretty bad. As far as hit points go, this thing has 5,740 hit points and 3,700 shields. So that's really about average for the starter ships, maybe on the low end, but the price point at $45 for this game package is pretty low as well. So, you get what you pay for a little bit there. Now, here's one of the big points that I'm going to make with all of these ships. As far as quantum fuel goes, you only have 0.5 SCU of quantum fuel. So that's going to hurt the rating on this ship quite a bit. So as far as the Aurora goes, my ranking on it, I mean, all things considered, I'm going to put this on the C tier. And I mean, it's all honestly could be in D tier, but we'll move on. The next ship is at the same price point. It's $45 for the Mustang Alpha. Now, this one has cargo on it as well, and I believe it's supposed to be 4 SCU of cargo. But let's be honest, it would take you 30 minutes at least to be able to actually get 4 SCU of cargo in this ship. I mean, they really need to rework the cargo grid on the Mustang Alpha. It's horrible, but it is there. Now, I'm not sure you could get a box to stay in that cargo area for a box delivery. So yeah. This one's that's gonna hurt its rating quite a bit, honestly. So the Mustang Alpha has 2 size 2 guns on it, and I believe you can add more guns to it. So this ship is more of a fighter type ship than the Aurora, but honestly, if you're trying to use it as a fighter with a starter ship, you're in trouble already. To be fair, there are no missiles as well. So it is what it is. You can start bounties in any of these ships, but some of them will go farther up the tiers of bounties than others. This one, knock yourself out, see how high you can get with it. But moving on, there is no interior, no walkable interior on this ship. That's honestly one of the worst things about it. You have no bed. For bed logging, you have no storage, no internal storage lockers, no armor lockers, or suit lockers, no gun racks, nothing. You basically get in the cockpit and that is it. So that's definitely a point against it with Pyro coming out. On top of that, it's got the same quantum fuel as the Aurora with 0.5 SCU, which is real. I'm really thinking you're going to struggle with that low of amount of quantum fuel in Pyro. So that definitely hurts the rating. As far as hit points go, this thing has 9,231 hit points and 2,800 with shields. So, Mustang Alpha, I mean, I'm going to put it in D tier just because it has even less functionality than the Aurora somehow, which is pretty impressive. It tries to be more of a fighter, and it's just, that's really its main thing, and that's just not enough for a starter ship. For a starter ship, I'm looking for more of a multi-role, being able to go do a lot of different types of missions, and the Mustang just falls short on a lot of them. Okay, so moving on, though, that will move us up to the C8X Pisces Expedition. This one... okay, so it has 4 SCU of cargo, and it's internal storage, so that's better. We're moving in the right direction, at least. And it works. So it's got that going for it. It has 4 size 1 guns on it and 2 size 1 missiles on it. And it has a walkable interior, so box missions are a go. Hit points 6,250 and 1,280 shields. So it's a little weak, a little on the weaker side there. And the price point for this ship jumps up to $60. Then on top of that, it has no internal storage and no suit lockers, no storage lockers, and no gun racks. So that's definitely a point against it. And quantum fuel, it's still the standard 0.5 SCU of quantum fuel. So the range is very limited for Pyro. Also, no bed logging in this ship. So that, I'm gonna put this one in C for now, and then we'll. I might put this one up into the B tier, honestly, but well, hold up. I can't find the, there it is. Yeah, alright, so we'll drag it up to C tier for now. But this one could honestly be a B tier. Maybe. We'll see how the rest of them go, and then we'll come back to that one. Alright, so that moves us up to the Cutter. This one's... oh, I love the Cutter. This is the one I started with. I've got very fond memories of it. I'm not going to let that affect where I put this ship, though. It's going to stand where it is on its own merits, and you'll see. Anyways, 4 SEU of cargo. It's internal cargo, and honestly, with the way the cargo hold is on the cutter, you could get more. So there's that. This thing will also haul a vehicle very easily, a smaller vehicle, but it is a possibility. As far as firepower goes, this thing has 2 size 2 weapons, which is not amazing. It's, you know, okay for a starter ship. And then it also has 4 size 1 missiles. So it's okay-ish on the firepower, sure, I guess. But you've also got to keep in mind this is this is probably the least maneuverable ship out of all of them, so you count that against it. It does have a walkable interior, a very nice walkable interior, honestly, with the bed, the bathroom. It has an internal storage locker and a gun rack. The only thing missing from the cutter, in my opinion, is a suit locker, which, with some of the changes we saw coming in from CitizenCon, that could be important later on, but you could put your armor in the internal storage, I suppose. But it doesn't have a suit locker, so that's really about the worst point against it. Now, as far as hit points, this one has 17,000 hit points and 1,500 shields. So we're getting better on, survivability a little bit as we go up in price. So this one is the same price as the C8X Pisces Expedition at $60. And here's the point that makes the most difference for me. It's ticking all of the boxes that we need so far, except for the suit locker. And one of the biggest features for it is that it has 1 SEU of quantum fuel, which is double all the other ships we've looked at so far. So for that reason, I really don't want to put this one in S tier, but I'm going to. I feel like it could very easily be A tier instead of S tier, just because its firepower and maneuverability could be better, honestly. But I'm going to leave it in S tier for now, literally just because it has everything that we need so far. So I'm going to leave it there for now. I may kick it down to A tier later in the video, but for now, we'll leave it up there. Also, for the price, the price only being $60 and it being able to compete on all of the things that we want for a starter ship against some of the more expensive ones that we'll get to here in a few minutes, that kind of kicks it up a tier for me. So for the price, we're going to leave it at S tier for right now. Alright, so moving on, we're going to the 100i. Now this thing has 2 SEU of cargo on it. Yeah, okay. 2 size 3 guns on it, which is really good. And 2 size 2 missiles on it, which is okay. That's okay. It has a walkable interior, so that's in its favor. Now we're going to get to the negatives on this ship, though. The 100i, 3,900 hit points, which makes it the weakest ship in this list by far. 1,500 shields. The maneuverability on it is great, though, to be fair. So there is that. But Beyond that, the 100i is coming in at $65. So with those hit points and the weak shields, you're gonna evaporate anytime anyone shoots at you if they hit you. But yeah, then we're gonna throw in the fact that it has no internal storage, no storage closet, no armor, no suit racks, no weapon rack, none of that. I think it does have the bed for bed logging, so that's a plus. But yeah. And then on top of that, we're going back to the point 0.5 SCU of quantum fuel. So it's limited on range as well. So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna be generous with this one. I'm gonna be generous with this one. Um, I'm gonna put this one as a B tier. Just because it has really good maneuverability. The firepower is not horrible. Um, the price could be better. The hit points could definitely be. Let's just leave it at B tier for right now. It could slide down into C tier very easily, but we'll leave it at B tier for right now and see where we go with the others. That brings us on to the one of the big fan favorites for starter ships, the Avenger Titan. Now this one has 8 SCU of cargo, so it's already that's a really good point in its favor. As far as weaponry, it has one size 4 gun on the front and 2 size 3s, as well as 4 size 2 missiles. So firepower wise, it's great. Maneuverability wise, it's great. This is the best all around ship that can be a fighter, in my opinion. But yeah, we'll get on with it. It does have a walkable interior as well as a bed for bed logging, so that's good. As far as hit points, it comes in at 11,900, which is, up there. It's pretty good for a starter ship. 3,700 shields as well, which is, a plus. The price point is accurate, I would say. It comes in at $75 for this game package, but honestly, I feel like it's worth it for everything that you get for it. Now, on the downside, it does not have internal storage. No internal storage lockers, no suit lockers, and no weapon racks, which is honestly kind of sad. But there's that, and then again with the quantum fuel, 0.5 SCU of quantum fuel, so its range is limited, which really hurts my feelings on this ship. The quantum fuel being the biggest one. You can find ways around the internal storage somewhat, but the quantum fuel is, yeah. So I'm not going to put the Avenger Titan as S tier. I'm definitely putting it as A tier though. Really, if this had the suit lockers, the internal storage, and better quantum fuel, this would be the ship of choice by far. It would definitely be my favorite. But as big as Pyro's going to be, I really worry about the limited range on the quantum fuel. As well as the changes coming to where you won't be able to fly very well in armor, and you'll need a place to store your armor, so that kind of hurts my rating on the Avenger Titan. It's not the only one that's hurt by that, but it really hurts my feelings to put the Avenger Titan at A tier. But in regards for Pyro and what's coming, I just don't think it's going to quite make S tier. But it is a very good ship, a very versatile ship that you can do a lot of game loops with. Alright, so we're moving on to the newest ship, the Intrepid. Now, this one has 8 SEU of storage on the cargo grid. Its internal storage kind of gives it a cool factor in the way that the cargo storage drops down with those doors as well. Now that's a good point. Now one of the bad points. The only weapons you have on this is one size 4 gun and 2 size 1 missiles. Which honestly I would forgive the one gun thing if it had more missiles. I mean, this ship is pretty good size. It deserves more missiles, let's be honest. But it is what it is. It does have the walkable interior, a very spacious interior at that. It does have the suit locker, the weapon racks, internal storage lockers. It has everything you need. It has a bed for bed logging. It has the kitchen, the bathroom, all that. So very nice interior on this ship. As far as hit points go, 15,350, which is good. 1,500 shields, nah. But on the downside of it, this is a pretty good sized ship. It's going to be a lot easier to hit than a lot of the other ships on this list. So combat wise, it's not great, even with that size 4 weapon on the front. It's not as great as you would think it would be. The price comes in at $80, which is a little high maybe. I think it should have maybe been the same price as the Titan. Quantum fuel wise, those is where this one will shine. It's the highest on the list with 1.2 SCUs of quantum fuel. So, I mean, it's hitting every marker again for what you're gonna want for Pyro. With it being a little weak in the firepower department, but I mean, it's hitting everything you need for a newer ship. So, yeah, I'm going to have to put it at S tier. Honestly, the quantum fuel is what bumped it up to S tier over A tier, though. And the interior is... Yeah, well, we'll leave it at S tier. It's I kind of don't want it to be at S tier because of the price, but we're gonna leave it there for right now. All right, so that brings us up to the Sewin, which honestly is just getting cool factor points for me. I mean, this is the alien starter ship, and it is really cool. Cargo wise, it's got 6 SEU of cargo that it can hold. It's not internal cargo storage though. It's out on the landing gear parts basically, but it does hold 6 SEU. One of my biggest complaints about the cargo on this Huon is it will only hold 1 SCU boxes. It won't hold 2 SCU boxes, even though you've got 2 SEU on each landing part. They just don't fit in where they've got this. It just doesn't work. All right, so weapon wise, it's got 3 size 3 weapons, which is pretty good, and 12 size 2 missiles, which is, yeah, by far the best missile payload out of any of the starter ships. So, yeah, weapon like firepower wise, the Shuan's pretty good. Now, to be fair, it is a very large target, though, if you get in a fight with it. So that kind of counts against it, but still, firepower wise, it's pretty good. Now, it does have a walkable interior. It also has a suit locker. It has weapon racks and internal storage closets. So that's just great. Hit point wise, 11,740 hit points with 3,000 shields. So that's pretty good. Honestly, my biggest gripe with the Shuan, though, is the price at $85. To be fair, it's worth it. Maybe. Eh. As we get up higher in the price starts bothering me more. But anyways, quantum fuel wise, it has 1 SEU of cargo, or of quantum fuel. 1 SEU of quantum fuel. So range wise, it's definitely at the top of the list. The only one better is the Intrepid, and the only one that matches it is the Cutter. And again, the same as the Cutter, this thing it hits everything you want out of a starter ship. It's going to have enough range for Pyro. It's got the suit lockers, all the internal storage. 6 SEU of cargo is fine. There's really just nothing wrong with this ship, with the possible exception of getting used to landing on your butt. That's definitely something that takes some getting used to. And other than the large size, like it makes a large target, and have the way you have to land it are really the only things against this ship, if you don't count the price. And for what you get for your money in this ship, it's kind of hard to complain about the price too much. So the Shuan is S tier. You'll notice the 3 at S tier all have the best quantum fuel. But it's not just the quantum fuel, it's that they have everything that you want out of a starter ship, honestly. Okay, so moving on from the Shuan. Like, I don't even want to include the arrow in this, but it is there. It's under $100. It comes in at $90. I don't want to include it because all it is a fighter. That's it. That's all it's good for. To be fair, it's a pretty good fighter. It's got 2 size 3 guns and 1 size 1 gun on it, as well as 6 size 2 missiles. So the firepower is pretty decent. No walkable interior, no bed, no storage, no cargo, which really limits it. There's just not a lot you can do in the arrow. 8,680 hit points and 1,730 shields. So even for a fighter, it's pretty weak survivability wise. The maneuverability is great. 0.5 SCU of quantum fuel though, so limited range. Literally just a fighter. Now, granted, it is a good fighter ship, so as much as I want to put this lower, I think I'm going to put it at a B tier, just because it fulfills its role fairly well. I don't recommend the Arrow for new players at all, just because it's only good for one thing, and for a new player and a starter ship, you want to have more options for gameplay, because you know what, you buy a game package and maybe you find out you don't want to be a fighter pilot, or you don't want to do as much ship to ship combat. Maybe you prefer other game loops, but if you have the Arrow starter pack, I mean, that's really your only option. So I guess I'll leave it at B tier. And that brings us to the last game package that comes in under $100. Barely. Oh, right. The Arrow is also $90. So, God, that makes me... You know what? Well, I'm putting the Arrow down at C tier. just for that. But moving on. Nomad is coming in as our last starter ship game package under $100 at $95. Okay, so cargo wise, it has 24 SCU of cargo. It is external cargo. It's the space truck, you know. It's got a truck bed on the back of it. Cool factor. I mean, this is a really cool ship with the way it hovers instead of sits on the ground when you're landed. You can haul a rock in the back of it and go do rock mining with no problems. Maybe. I mean, you do need boxes now, the way rock mining works, and I'm not 100% sure if you can fit boxes in the back with the rock. I think you can. I'm like 80% sure you can. So we'll leave that in there. 24 SCU of cargo is, you know, the best out of this group. I mean, granted, you're paying for it, but it is what it is. So as a starter cargo hauler, it's okay. Sure. Weaponry, it's pretty good for a starter ship. You've got 3 size 3 guns on it. It's pretty decent. You have 8 size 2 missiles, which is also really good. It is kind of a larger target, to be fair, and it's not all that great maneuverability, but you know, it can do some fighting, definitely. It has a walkable interior with a bed. The big downside of this ship for me is somehow it has no internal storage, no suit locker, no weapon racks. Somehow, I'm not sure how they managed that. No storage lockers, no nothing. Is what it is. But anyways, 9,800 hit points, 4,500 shields, so it's decent, you know. And quantum fuel, it's this was a big miss for me because it's got 0.7 SCU of quantum fuel, which to be fair, is better than most of the ships on this list. Sure. But this ship is, a, fairly sizable for a starter ship, and the price is definitely up there. And if you don't have any of the internal storage capabilities, how do you not have the more quantum fuel? Or both? You know, for $95, it should have both, to be fair. I mean, uh, with the 24 SCU of cargo, though, and the cool factor, and the fact that I actually do really like this ship, I'm going to put it at A tier. Kind of hurts my feelings to do that, because the limited range on the quantum fuel there's no way this thing should have less quantum fuel than the cutter. There's just no way. Um, ah, but it does have the biggest storage and decent weaponry and a decent interior, I suppose. So I'm gonna leave it at A tier, but honestly, I could kick that down to B tier just on the quantum fuel alone. And I can't believe it doesn't have internal storage of any kind, really. So yeah, no, the Nomad really does hurt my feelings, especially at that price point. Um, all you're getting, real like at that price point, I feel like you should be getting more quantum fuel and a little bit of storage. Maybe not a suit locker, but a storage closet and a weapon rack. That's not too much to ask. But anyways, that's where it came down to. That is all of the starter ships under $100, and where I would rank them for Pyro incoming, which, I mean, you've got to take into account the increased distances you're going to be flying in quantum travel, and, just everything that's coming out, especially the changes to how you can fly while wearing armor and stuff like that. That's going to make a bit of a difference when it comes to how we see starter ships. And honestly, yeah, it's a hard sell on some of these. But just for me, I highly recommend the Cutter, the Sealand, possibly even the Intrepid. I mean, I think those are going to be the ships that will serve people best with Pyro coming out and going over to the new system. So be sure to let me know if you agree or disagree with my choices on this tier list, and leave me comments. Let me know what you think about how the new system's going to affect us, and be sure to leave me a like, subscribe, all that, and I'll see y'all in the next one.